And so Maitréyi, the world teacher, has been in the world, the everyday world, living in London for the last 34 years, awaiting an action by humanity that will allow him to come forward openly and to declare himself for who and what he is. People wonder why Maitréyi just doesn't come out and says, "Here I am, I've come. The world will be a better place from now on." Maitréyi doesn't come to make the world a better place. That's our job. Our job is to make the world a better place. And Maitréyi and the masters will help us to make the world a better place if we do the right things, if we fulfill the law, if we will give up our old Piscean past to which we're holding on, to our investments, to our commercialization, to our relative power, to our little bit of superiority as developed nations. We are holding on to all that at the expense of the human suffering which is occurring throughout the world. Any time in those last 34 years, we could have brought Maitréyi forward into the everyday world and had him announce his presence himself. All we had to do was take the first steps into what is really our divinity. When I say the first steps into our divinity, it seems tremendous. How do we do that? That's a huge, huge thing to ask. Not at all.
しかしそうではないんです。単純です。
It's simple. All we have to do is to take the first steps into truth, into right relationship. All we have to do is to see humanity as one group, brothers and sisters of one large group called humanity. Whatever the differences in color and religion and tradition and so on, these are only surface things. The fundamental thing is the oneness of humanity. The first step, Maitréyi will say, has said, the first step into sharing is your first step into your divinity. It's as simple as that. He says, when you share, you recognize God in your brother. Sharing, he says, is divine. Justice is divine. Create sharing and justice in the world, and you are in your divinity. When someone says divinity or spirituality, people think religion, church, temple, hands together, praying. Yes, it's all of that, but it's relationship. Divinity is correct relationship. It is not churches and temples. It is a right relationship between men and women everywhere. All men, all women everywhere. There are not some who are destined to be rich and powerful and rule the world, as many people think, or to grow big and fat on their investments and grow rich and powerful in that way. No, it's to do with who you are, how much of your soul is manifesting through you, and how much of your initial spiritual truth as spark of the divine is manifesting through your soul, through you. You are all of that. And when that manifests, you manifest your divinity. It's not something you learn to do or you go to church to do. It's something which you are. You do it naturally because it is a natural thing. We must extend to relationships, to more aspects of life than we know what we call spiritual. Anything which improves life for the greatest number of people is spiritual, fundamentally spiritual. It is not a segregated little aspect which you keep for a certain day in the temple or in church. It is an everyday expression of who and what we are. Maitréyi will tell you, you are gods. Each one is a god, nothing less. Maitréyi is emerging soon. The long wait is almost, not quite, but almost over. Without announcing who he is, without using his name, Maitréyi, Maitréyi will begin to appear first in America on television and radio and so on, and then in Japan, and then in different parts of the world, talking, as I have been trying to say, about the needs of humanity and what it takes to change the terrible problems facing the world into totally dealable with problems by making the right decisions, by seeing ourselves as one, and being ready to share the resources of the world. That's all it takes. One step into sharing is a step into your divinity. What could be more exact and simpler than that? And that is what humanity has to do. Every other method has been tried and failed and has led inevitably to separation, to misery, and to war. We can no longer afford the luxury of a major war. It would be nuclear and would destroy all life on planet Earth. That is the alternative to sharing. So in reality, there is no option. We don't have an option. We share or we die, one or the other. Now Maitréyi has come from his high mountain into the world, and you can be sure he has not come in vain. He knows the response of humanity will be for sharing, for justice, for right relationship, a humanity with which he can work and help and teach and lead into this fantastic, beautiful future which awaits us. But we have to do the right thing, accept the principle of sharing. When we share, we create trust. When we create trust, all other difficulties and problems can be solved easily by talking around a table. But you have to create that initial trust. And the only thing which will do that is the acceptance of the principle of sharing.